Greetings. Welcome back to my channel. Ooh, we had a good week. Let me tell you, one question I have to ask. Will Karen ever be able to deal with Zatima, Zac and Fatima's relationship? Is Zac really the father? Can she deal with this engagement? Will a different truth come out in the future? I don't know, but we have a lot to talk about. Stay tuned. Now, this episode is entitled Feeling the Heat, and it surely did live up to its name. It starts off with, Maurice now still being, dragged by this prosecutor, trying to persuade him to, turn state's evidence basically against Sabrina, and telling Maurice that he has him on tape. And Maurice, like, I don't believe it. I'm like, that's right. Stand your ground, Maurice. He doesn't believe that Sabrina would do anything like that. He said, I'm from the hood. If you think, I just don't fall for the okie doke. You're not going to pull this crap on me, telling me that you have a picture of Sabrina on the phone. How I know that's not doctored up? So look at this guy's face. He knows he's not easily going to persuade Maurice, regardless of how much he threatens him to get 30 years in prison. He like, I tried to help you, but I see that's not gonna work. So you deal with your time in jail, so to speak. He was like, well, you just, best thing for you to do is get up out my face, because I'm not believing anything you say. We know deep down inside Maurice is scared as hell, but he doesn't want him to know that. I got my girls back. We didn't do anything. There's no reason for me to be spending all this time in jail. I'm not selling my girl out, so you might as well leave. And I'm like, hold on, Maurice. I think I got a plan. So now here is Fatima letting Andi know about the engagement. She found out last week, and she says, wow, she's really, happy about her. She says, yeah, I'm happy. And, Andi wants to know, are you going to marry him? And yes, I want to marry him, but I have to deal with this situation with this baby. I don't know where this is going to go with these two women. So I have to hold out on that. But she says, in the meantime, look at what I have. And she said, what is that? She said, this is my decoy against Hayden. So she's like, what do you mean? She was like, this woman is going to have Hayden eating out of the palm of her hands, to keep him out of our business, and basically busy. So Andi, of course, is, afraid. Like, when you say this, what are you talking about? Like, you're not planning on getting this girl to kill Hayden. What's going on? She was like, no, I'm not going to do anything, because Andi knows how she moves. Hoping Madam's not involved. She's saying, no, I just, doing what I need to do, because Hayden needs to back up off of us. And she also let Andi know that Heather, his 3-year-old son that he's supposed to have, was hired by Hayden. So she was like, oh my God, yeah, that's a bad one. So now she knows she has to deal with that. So just let Hayden deal with this girl, deal with him, and so we can do what we got to do. So she's basically telling Andi, yeah, she loves Zac. She wants to, marry him, but she wants to resolve that. Now, Andi was looking kind of crazy, so she's like, what do you know? Andi don't want to tell her. She already knows that Zac's the daddy. She's going to hook up with her girls later. She said, well, let me get up out of here, because I know how it goes, especially with Karen involved in this pregnancy. That's probably going to be all drama with you and your girls. So I'll talk to you later, and let me go take my little engaged self back to work. Deuces. So she leaves Andi's office. Now, in the meantime, here we go with Danni being harassed by Q. Now, this is my thing. This whole interaction with Q needs a place to stay. Little do Danni knows. So he is going hard, thinking he can get his little claws into Danni, I guess, to be his new victim. Now, Danni's about to leave from work. He's telling her, I know you got something, to smoke, let me get a hit or whatever. She's like, what are you talking about? So He was like, okay, I got a pen. What do you want? No, you're not going to get my pen. Now, my thing is, okay, Danny, you have not learned your lessons from the last time picking up men in airports, going out for drinks. Q persuaded her to give a hit of your pen. I'm like, first of all, I'm like, it's still COVID, girl. Don't be letting nobody put their mouth on your stuff. She said, you walk me to my car. You can get a little hit of my pen and go with your business. Now, in the meantime, he's pushing her to go out on a date, get a drink. So he talked her into that. I'm like, sis, I love you, Danny. I love you to death. You know, you one of my favorite sisters. But you got to think a little bit more. Was this not enough of a traumatic experience to not to get this another stranger to go out for a drink? But I don't know. Maybe you haven't learned your lesson yet. But put in the comments, how many of you were screaming at Danny with this whole going out for a drink situation with Q? Because I know I was going off at the TV. I was going off. So she's looking at him like, why are you coming at me so hard? He was like, nothing, just go out for a drink or whatever. She suspected him, but that didn't stop her from agreeing to go and get a hit of her pen and go out for this drink after work. Beware. Look at him checking her out from the back. Beware, Danny, but we're going to need you soon for this situation with Q. Now, here we have Calvin on the phone with our man, Maurice. Now, Maurice finally gathered up his pride to call Calvin. Thank God he wanted to hear from him. And he let him know what the prosecutor said. Bottom line is the prosecutor wants me to give up Sabrina because he said she set me up. And he was like, no, Maurice, he didn't do that. Well, when you're in a bad situation like this, it's hard when your girl is out, but you still in here. Like, what happened? So Calvin tried to explain to him that she's out on bail, but it's not because she turned him in. And he was like, well, I got to do something, I need to get in here and, get out of here. And of course, Maurice is joking about the situation. I don't want to do something, crazy. And he's like, well, what are you talking about? I guess he thought suicidal, but he was like, no, break out of here. And he was like, what did you think I meant? And he was like, nothing. So Maurice was really like, trying to believe Calvin when he said, we're going to get you out, man. Just be patient. We're working on it. And we're going to see what Andi can do. And he was like, what's she going to do for me? The thing is, Andi has already dealt with a $3 million bail situation in a favor from Robin. And the girls and everybody still want Andi to get more and squeeze blood out of a turnip from Robin and see if she can do. This is a federal case. Bottom line, this is a federal situation. And she got her friend out on bail. I don't know if she'll be able to use Robin to do that again. This is why I think this play with Quincy and Danny, once she find out who Quincy really is going to have to be the catalyst in setting Quincy up in order for Maurice to be set free, if you know what I mean. So put in the comments if you know what I mean by that. So here we go with our boy Zac waiting on his woman to come home from work. He's so excited. He was like, yeah, this is the highlight of his day, seeing his girl home, and he got a little surprise for her. So they so sweet and cute. He's waiting out in the driveway. I'm like, oh, I want me a Zac, minus all the baby mama drama. So, I love my Zac. So he's telling Fatima, she's like, what is it? And he's like, just come on. So he basically want her to close her eyes and not look. And, she's excited. Of course, they like two school children, like, all teens in love. So he like, come on. She was like, I can't see. He was like, you don't know this driveway by now. Just come on. Let me lead the way. She was like, I don't want to fall. So he guides her into the house. Now, when he gets her in the house, he has a nice little setup for her. Now, one of the things is he cooked dinner. Like he always, you remember he used to always, make breakfast for her before work that she could never eat. So he really, really trying. So he has a nice dinner set up with this, gas station wine. I'm like, brother, you make enough coins to go to a liquor store, even a nice winery, to get some good quality wine. Like, really? So she's like, okay, this is nice, babe. He like, you don't like it? Yeah, it's nice. But we're going to have to deal with this situation with your baby mamas. We have to call Karen. And he's like, I don't want to do that, babe. Let's just sit down and eat. And she's trying to persuade him, no, I'm not going to eat right now until we deal with the situation, because this is not, your way of trying to smooth things over with me or be nice. But this is something I don't want over our heads. We're going to have to sit down with Karen and deal with this situation. And he really don't want to deal with her because she went and told him we're going to have to deal with Heather too. He was like, come on, I know I'm going to have to drink some now. If you want me to talk to both of these women. And now the thing with Zac is he wants to marry her. And she's like, I want a church wedding. I'm not going to go off and elope with you. He was like, you got a family of gangsters. Y'all going to a church that's going to burn up. He was like, the church is not a place. The church is within you. And I'm like, amen, sis. It is. It's not just those four walls. It has to walk with you. So that, I think that statement was very profound that night. So she talked Zac into having this conversation and calling Karen over and talking to these women before they eat dinner and drink this gas station wine, which I want to smack you, Zac, for that. So he's like, okay. So now, in the meantime, we have our girl Sabrina at the shop getting her hair done, which she looks absolutely beautiful. I think Novi Brown, who plays Sabrina, is absolutely beautiful. The queen looked amazing. Whether she had that afro or whether she has her locks back, she definitely, her full locks really bring it. So Karen did. I was like, you go, Karen. She did an excellent job. And of course, Pam, here she go again. I like the style before. You know why you got to change it and being all nosy. She just looked at her like, girl, get out of my business. So she's going to get the money out of her purse, and Karen's like, I got you, girl. Don't even worry about it. Like a sister should, and a good friend. You've been through enough. You know, you still dealing with this situation. Hold your money. That's what friends are for. So that was that, and then she left for the day. Now, here we go with Karen treating Pam like she's a little child. Put in the comments if you sick of how she talks to Pam. I'm like, enough of that. This is a grown woman. If you don't trust her to help you with the shop, guess what? Fire her then. Other than that, let her do what she do. So Zac called her and she was shocked. Like, Karen's like, oh my God, this is Zac. And of course, Pam wanted to know what's going on, but she had to send her to the back. Like, mind your business, Pam. This is between me and Zac. So he told her I wanted to meet regarding, the situation with the baby. And she's like, okay. And Fatima made sure that he told her, no, you're going to meet with me and Fatima. So she was like, she wasn't feeling that. So she like, okay, I'll come by. He was like, I'm supposed to meet the girls, but I'll swing over there before I meet with them. So, yeah, she's very suspect as to why out the blue he's willing to meet, but she did agree to stop by, have the meeting. He said, good, that sounds good. I'll see you later then. She was like, okay, I'll see you later. Now, this has her wondering, like, did Andi say something to him or say something to Fatima about knowing the results? Because why out of the blue he wants to talk to me? So she called Danni. Did you say anything? Danny's like, about what? She was like, about the baby. She was like, of course not. She was like, well, Zac just called me. And he wants me to meet with him and Fatima. And Andi's like, what? Like, that's weird. Like, out the blue? Why? She said, I don't know. But I'm going to go over there. And she's like, wait a minute. I am going with you. Like, you just going to invite yourself? Andi like, okay. So I'll meet you over there because she knows Fatima and she knows Karen. And she knows that this can get really ugly. But in meddlesome fashion, she says, I'll meet you over there. She's like, okay, fine. So Andi hops on the phone and put in the comments if this rubbed you kind of the wrong way. I know that's your girl and everything, and I know Fatima works with you, but there's certain lines of respect and basically bombarding and coming off a little aggressive on what you're going to do and coming to my house with your friend when you weren't invited. So Fatima looked like, yeah, I called her over because Zac needs to talk to her, and I'm going to be here. So she was like, I'm coming too, or whatever. I'm like, okay, but even like the way Fatima was looking on the phone, I'm like, you a little pushy, sis. Andi, slow your roll. I think you should have said that in a better manner, friend or no friend. So Andi gets up and, getting ready to rush over there. And Zac is looking like, yo, bad enough. I don't want to talk to Karen and deal with this right now. But, based on your request, babe, I'm going to do it. But Andi too, like, I'm not looking for the sister circle all to be over here in my business. Which I don't blame him, but she's like, she's coming. So let's go on, being that we resolved that, let's go eat. He was like, I don't want to. She was like, well, if you ain't going to eat now, you ain't getting nothing later. And you know what that means. So he like, let me get my butt up and eat. Because you already know you don't want to miss none of that dessert, Zac. So now we have our girl Danni here eating, not eating, having her little drink with Quincy. And so, he's trying to sweet talk her or whatever, wanting to prolong this little nightcap, but she's basically like, no, it's not that kind of meeting. Just two co-workers basically going to relax, I guess, with a drink after work. And she said something about his bracelet, and he feeling some kind of way. Oh, you that kind of chick, that, judging a brother because he's been incarcerated. She said, no, that's not it. I understand, brothers and what they go through and the injustice of being incarcerated in jail. That's not what it's about. Bruh, I just may not be interested in you like that. You was already too nice letting him get a hit of that pen, thinking he could get too close to you, Danni, which you got to use better judgment on. And now he feels he can take it a step farther. So she's like, no, I'm about to meet my friends. You can't come, okay? I'm not judging you in that way. I'm just not down for that. Why are you pushing so hard on me anyway? He was like, nothing. I'm just want to get to know you, blah, blah, blah. So she was like, So I'm getting ready to go, drink this drink, and get ready to leave. And no, you can't come. Like, the nerve, Quincy. I don't know you like that. In the back of my mind, I'm like, you need to come so they can know exactly who he is. But no. We're going to have to play this whole scenario cool. Because what we need to do is use Danni to set Q up. And our boy Preston can be like waiting in the wings in case this pops off badly. But I think this is going to be the key in bringing Quincy down. And Danni is going to be the pawn in that piece. She's in that chess game. We need her to really do checkmate and bring this brother down. So this little scenario here of him trying to push up on her, we may need to utilize this, but we're going to have to do it smart. So put in the comments if you think the same thing. Once she finds out who Quincy is, she's going to be the one who's going to have to bring him down and set Maurice and Sabrina free for good. So she wound up leaving, said her good nights, and moved on. So now we have our boy Hayden. Now Hayden is back there talking to this girl about her so-called case and trying to be smooth. And I'm like, was any of you nervous besides me, thinking this girl gonna mess it up? I mean, she's playing this role and being seductive or whatever, and that's probably what Hayden likes. But at the same time, I thought she was being a little too pushy and might blow the cover. So she let him know that she was interested in the way she doing, trying to do her little seductive thing with him. And you could tell he's being charmed and a little mesmerized, but he's looking at her, and I'm hoping he's not picking up on something fraudulent. So that had me a little nervous, but I'm like, if she keeps putting her little wiles in him, he probably be like, whatever. So she put her interest in, and they did their little flirting. So when he got up, she was like, oh, you're hard. I'm like, girl, no, you didn't say this to this man. Yeah, and he's like, no, babe, that I'm not hard. I'm just, well endowed, I guess. That's just how he is. And she was like, oh, well, okay then. Would you like to go out or whatever for a nightcap or out to dinner or something, she said to him. And he was like, sure, where? And she was like, my place. And he's looking like, oh, okay. Hook, line, and sinker. I'm like, he got his little jacket on and he was ready to go out the door. I'm like, okay, you a little easy, Hayden. I just hope that this works. Now, here we have Preston at the house, waiting for Danni to get off work. And she comes through the door. She's like, hi, with her little small talk. And, he's happy to see her. And he basically wants to talk because, I don't know how much they delved into it from when he first got there. But, the whole situation with going back home to that girl. Danni wanted to know, what was that? Did you ask to marry her? What's going on? And that's really what he wanted to talk to her about and really get into the whole situation with them. But she still had to get ready to go out with the girl. So she really didn't have that time. And he said, no, he didn't do that. And really, we know what it is that Hayden wants to do. He wants to get back with Danni because he loves her. But he also put a whammy on her and told her that her next door neighbor said to him, he asked him, how was she doing? Because he evidently heard the commotion of the fight or whatever, or the struggle in the apartment, and that this man hit her. And he wasn't feeling right by that. So just by Danny's words, he can see that this really happened. She's like, oh my God, this woman could not have seen what had happened. I guess she's assuming, there was an assault. So she said, I don't want to talk about it. I'll tell you everything, Preston, but I can't talk about this right now. And of course, he's really, really now concerned. And she said she promised that she'll talk about him later. I just can't talk about this now. So he said, okay. He backed off. I won't pressure you because he's still trying to get in her good graces. But we'll talk later. So she said, okay, am I excused now? I can go. And he said, yeah. And so that was that. So that's something now that Preston is really concerned with. So we have Calvin here with Sabrina at home. She's glad to see him. He was a kind face coming out of her traumatic experience in the slammer. So he was talking to her about he heard from Maurice and what Maurice said to him as far as, the prosecutor wanting him to set her up. And she's like, what? He's not going to do that. He didn't think that I really did that to him. And he's like, no, I told him that you didn't. But they want him to basically sell you out so he can get out and she can go in. And so now she's concerned with that and really hoping that Maurice doesn't change on her before they can try to find a way to get Maurice out. So Calvin was like, I know, we're going to work on that. So she's hoping that he really doesn't break because she's terrified. She doesn't want Maurice in there, but she doesn't want to go back yet either. So then in walks, what's his name? Bayou Beignet? Oh, the African prince. I forgot how to pronounce his name. I apologize. But he comes in and she tells him that, she'll talk to him later, but he really just wanted to tell her that he had came by 3 times and was really concerned because he hadn't heard from her. And she said, thank you. She's okay now. And she really couldn't get into it with him, but that she'll talk to him later because she had company. And of course, Calvin, like, you don't see me here? He was pissed off because he don't like this guy anyway. You know what kicked off last season with them. And he was like, no, I really didn't see you until now. So he said, I'll talk to you later. She said, yeah, I'll definitely contact you later now. Then he left. So she thanked him for coming to check on her. Now, Calvin kind of teed off, and she's basically, I don't want this negative energy. I would love you to stay so we can talk. I got to change this outfit. She had like hair on her from the salon and everything. I want to change, and you can stay as long as you're peaceful. Everything is going to be fine. So Calvin's like, okay, I'll behave. Of course, he don't want to leave. He love him some Sabrina, so he don't want to mess that up. So in the meantime, we have old girl, a decoy, calling Fatima while, they wait on the meeting with Karen. And she's letting Fatima know, I got him eating out of the palm of my hands. Everything is going as planned. What is it you want to know? So she was like, TMI, you don't have to tell me all the details. I just want you to basically keep this guy busy so he could stay out of my business. So she said, okay, got you. I can do that. I'll fill you in on how it goes later. Now, in the meantime, here, old girl, come Karen, pulling up for this meeting. She cannot wait to get in this house because the last time they had the blowout last season, they arguing outside. And she's like, I finally can get to go in because she told Zac in the house, you're not going to have me outside, right? You want to meet with me? I'm be able to come in. He was like, yeah. So she ready to go see what's going on. So Andi gets there, and of course she's scared, and she's telling her, do she have something in her purse? Evidently, she carries a weapon on her like Medea, and she's like, yeah, I got my purse. They ain't going to corner me up in there. I got to be ready. She's like, oh, my God. Leave it in the car. She's like, no, I'm not. I got to look out for me, just like she may look out for her. So Andi like, oh, God, I got to be referee. So now the doorbell rings, and she's like, you ready? And Zac like, yeah, I'm ready. And he's nervous. They both. So he goes to answer the door. And everybody's like, this is the highlight of the night. Like, can Karen handle that? Can she handle the place? We saw in the preview, she's going to pop off because she's going to see pictures of them around the house. All of these emotions are going to come back to her. And she comes and sits down. And, as the ex, like seeing him do real good and knowing this new lady got all this, I should be the one living like this with this beautiful home. And instead, it's going to be her with a man whose baby I'm carrying. So if anyone can have any understanding or maybe knows what that feels like, you know that's a real awkward situation. So they say sitting down, basically wanting to hear from Karen and what she has to say. She's sitting up there with this smug little attitude, and they basically have the ball in her court, wanting to know how this conversation is going to go. So all eyes are on Karen. So here we go. Is Karen going to stay calm? Is she going to go off? No, of course she got to go off. That's Karen, right? So we are going to see how this goes, continuing with Quincy and Danni and him still trying to push up on her. Maurice getting out of jail. And definitely what's going on with Karen once she gets the news. Will she find out about the engagement and what really set her off? I think I know what it is. So let's get ready to get into the next episode.